This opening line's my chance to play my song without words. 3-note cadence, perfect pitch, the hope of being heard. There's more than a dozen reasons why I can see you from the clear blue sky. I follow as you fly on by my watchful eye. Well, hey, 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 won't you sail my way? You can let your guard down, everything's okay.
Damn it, boy. Y'all recognize that voice. I hope you do. You've heard him here several times. I'm gonna say it again. I told this to Ben Ratliff yesterday. We were on a boat, and obviously we're listening to the people that we cherish, and this man is one of them. I almost gave him away there, but I'm sure he's already been given away because you guys probably read the descriptions. You girls probably read the description of who's on today. But I literally said he should be a star, and I got to thinking about how many times I've heard this, and one of the names that keeps telling me this over and over again is Brent Cobb. Like, that's a hit. That guy's a star. That guy's a hit. And then I heard Miranda Lambert say the same thing. And I don't know if it pisses you off as much as it pisses me off that your music's not out there, to where I understand that people could come right back and say, oh, well, you could stream music and you can get it out there now. And that's good. I like it. But there is this missing piece that Adam Hood should be a star. And he is a star to me, and he will be a star to the rest of the world. But Adam, does it ever irritate you? Does it get irritating? And I often ask you that because you're always such good mood and you're always sing so happy. But does it piss you off that this real music is not out there to the masses like it needs to be?
I mean, I'd be lying to you to tell you that it doesn't. But I think wanting what other people have is in our nature. But I also feel like that there's a lot to be said for running your own race. And I think that, I tell myself when I start to because I get down about it, I mean, I'm 46, and in my mind, the clock's ticking, whether it is or not, I don't know, but, when I get down about it, I tell myself that, I have to run my own race. I tell myself that timing is everything. And I tell myself that this is by design because, it's certainly not, I don't feel like it's not for lack of effort. I mean, we do everything that we can, but at the same time, the entertainer, artistry front man is a secondary path for me. I've always wanted the songs to be the things that went first. You recognize me because you recognize the songs. I don't want it to be something where you recognize me and then you recognize the songs. If that makes sense. I mean,
I love
that handsome.
I love that you put the lyric in the song first, and the song that you started off with today, it has a lot of meaning to guys like me, the guy that is on the other end of this podcast today, our other guest who I'm going to bring in just a second. But there's a cadence, what we call a cadence when we do things in life, right? There's marching bands, there's the way that you speak, there's different cadences that are in every part, every aspect of life. Cadence is a really, really cool word to me if you break it down of what a cadence is. And I don't know if a lot of people have ever broken the word down, and I'm not telling you that you should or that you need to, but to me, I love that word and I love the definition of it and I love the symbolism of it. So in this song, cadence carries a lot of symbolism to me, okay? So now you take a certain cadence of the way that you project your lyrics in your voice or some sounds that you're making with your voice. You go, hey, hey, hey. Well, that cadence is, it's a duck. It's a hen mallard duck sitting on the water, calling to ducks in the air to tell her that, hey, this is it. This is where you need to be. Now, the symbolism also goes to where you listen to this song, and the guy on the other end of the other end of the podcast, so again, I'm going to introduce soon, is the author or the writer of this song. I don't know if you've become a co-writer on this song, Adam Hood. I do not know that. But the symbolism of this song goes as far as the hen mallard is the one that makes that cadence. Hey, hey, hey. But to me, when I listen to this is me talking to a girl, right? And then all of a sudden the symbolism gets reversed, kind of like in reality, and our other guests will know this, but in turkey hunting, you're a big turkey hunter, Adam Hood. We're reversing Mother Nature when we call turkeys, right? It's usually the hen going to the gobbler. Well, we try to bring the gobbler to us by doing our sound. So anyway, I know that I'm being long-winded, but the symbolism in the cadence of this song is what makes it stands out. Our other guest is the writer of this song, Josh Dokken from Banded Brands. How are you, my man?
Doing well.
Does what I said just make sense?
Yeah, it did, except I'm not in a rut. I wanted to say that. I don't feel like I am yet. I hope not. And Adam Hood is absolutely a co-writer on the song. When we get into later the more of how it was made, I'll tell you why. Because it wouldn't have happened without him.
I'm curious to get Josh's perspective on it too, because I mean, as far as like the pen to paper writing, I did a minimal amount. I mean, there was a lot that was kind of already done, and I don't know if Josh knew he handed me something as complete as it was. I mean, really, it was, I kind of looked at it and said, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And,
Adam, I got to ask you. I have to ask you this as far as the psyche goes, and the reason I opened the podcast with how I did of you are an absolute star, and so freaking talented. I mean, I was listening to Charlie Argo yesterday. I've become buddies with Charlie Argo because of you and because of Ben. Yeah. Huge talent. And I looked at Ben and I said, will this guy ever make it? And Ben goes, he oughta.
Yeah, totally.
But when he sings your song, and you know the one that I'm talking about, the Tennessee Will song to me is gorgeous, right? Like that would, if I wrote a song like that or delivered a song like that, I would be like, wow. And then all of a sudden, you get approached by a guy named Josh Dokken who's with a duck hunting brand, right? Why are you so apt to help people out or get out there and become involved in a project like this when a lot of people that have achieved what you have with all the cuts that you have, the albums that you have, the power that you have, you're an honorary Texan, you travel through Texas and you sell out crowds. Why do you jump in and work with guys like us so easily? Is it because you're just one of us, Adam Hood?
Yes, absolutely. Well, and also because of the fact that I realized that, I mean, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to participate in a great song. And this is a pretty unique thing. I mean, the whole development of how this song and our, all the three of us, our relationships came about. I mean, it's pretty unique. This isn't something that happens day to day, in everybody's life. And so I don't want to miss out on those opportunities, and I don't want to miss out on the chance to write a good song. And anything that I can do to participate and to help a good song come to life, man, I want to do that. I mean, this is the fun part of my job. I mean, the writing part is especially in the past couple of years, and it's not as much because of the cuts. I think that the cuts 2020 was an amazing year. We've had a great year, a better year in the pandemic year than I've ever had in my whole career. And it wasn't because of anything other than the fact that I really started having a good time with it. And it's become a blast. And I don't want to miss out on anything like that. Yeah. And I agree. I think that, I think we have a common thread in the hunting world, and I want to showcase those kind of things. I'm proud of that. That's my upbringing. It's my heritage. It's where I came from. And, I'm for the lack of abilities I have as a hunter or a duck hunter or a turkey hunter, I love it a lot. And so, I want that to be a part of what I do.
Adam, I got a question. So we know how the story did kind of unfold, and we'll get into that about the song. But I'm curious, what would you have done if when we had that we had a Zoom call when Adam and I finally had scheduled the date where we were going to I was going to tell him about the song and we were going to do some writing on it. I'm curious, what would you have done that day if the song I brought you was like Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars? I mean, if it was just so bad that there was like, I mean, would you have just said, hey, let's start from scratch? Or would you
maybe, probably I would have probably done that, because I mean, there's no point trying to get if your feelings get hurt really easy because a line's not good. This is no place for you. And I know that. I know that too. And so if I don't want to say I expected there to be more work, but I expected. I figured you'd have a good verse, and I figured you'd have something put together and some cool lines, but like it's fairly complete, and so I don't know. Man, I've been in so many different scenarios and again, that's the challenge. And that's the thing that's starting to make this job fun is the fact, like you take a ridiculous idea and make a great song out of it. And this is not a ridiculous idea. You know what I mean? You take something that doesn't rhyme. You take a nursery rhyme. You take a Bible verse. You take all these things and make great songs out of them. That's a blast, man. And so this was, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but I sort of expected this to be a little bit more of a challenge, to be honest with you. I didn't expect you to have chords and a verse and chorus and like real live like songwriter ideas.
It's funny you say that because to my buddies and to be fair to them, you know, I've led with this the whole time, but I've made it known that I'm not a singer. I don't think I can sing. So when I do just, you know, kind of hum to a tune, it's not because I think it sounds good.
Right.
And so they had to use their measures, but they were like, man, and I could see it in their face. They're like, yeah, it's all right. But it, you know, they just, I had the vision. I wasn't articulating it. So I had that in my mind. Like, what if it's really not? But I felt really strong about it. If I could get, partnered up with a guy, who basically has every single one of your characteristics. And like, I don't think there could have been a more perfect fit.
Correct.
I really
couldn't agree more.
You couldn't name one person that would have been a more perfect fit, I don't think.
And that brings me to saying this real quick. Let me interrupt you two gentlemen, because I have to say this. Excuse me. It's really smoky out here. Been evacuating friends because of all the wildfires out west. And trying to get my lungs back. So guys, if I'm a little hoarse today, I apologize. Adam, you're not hoarse, but I have to say that this is the Foul Life podcast brought to you again by our friends at Gerber Gear. And today's episode is also brought to you by Banded Brands. You got to check out all of the new innovation coming out for the 2021-22 duck and goose waterfowl season. Turkey gear, casual gear. We have so much coming up. Josh Dokken is innovating in his marketing as well as the way that he is getting this brand out there. We're happy to have Banded Brands as one of our main partners right here at the Foul Life. I have to say this before I let you guys continue, because I think what Dokken brings up, Adam, is a very big point of who you are and what you do, because I also have heard other musicians say that picking a song is very important, because you're going to get presented or get what they call pitched songs all the time on Music Row and in this industry that you make your livelihood in. It's a talent to pick a good song. Am I wrong or right, Adam Hood?
Oh man, yeah, and I'm more on the other side of it. Like, I'm the guy that's throwing ideas out, and I mean, you know, Wyatt Durrett is a buddy of mine who wrote Chicken Fried and Highway 20 Ride and some, you know, I think he wrote Crazy Beautiful, like just a great songwriter and guy I've known for a long time. I saw him the other day, and he said, you know, there's just no level that you get to where it's not 98% no. You know, I mean, you get, for all the songs that you write on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, I mean, the vast majority of them are rejected. And so, you know, it's very humbling. And not only is it humbling, it kind of goes back to what you were saying. Like, you sort of have to learn to, I mean, really deal with the long-term disappointment of people not liking songs that you love. I saw that happen in person in the last 72 hours, where a man was pitched with a song by another person, and he was told, as soon as the song was over, he was told no. They had a work tape, and it did not take this individual 7 seconds to say no. And the air was let out of these people so fast, I was like, damn, that hurts. But that's the nature of the beast, right? So, like, Josh comes to you with the song, and where I'm going with what I asked you, Hood, is that I can see Josh playing that song or giving that idea to a friend, because I've done it. Sometimes your vision doesn't really stand the test of time with everybody, even in your inner circle. Some of your friends might be that type of friend that doesn't really want to burst your bubble. So, like, oh, that's great, when they really don't have a feeling of what it really is. And I know Dokken wasn't looking for that, right? A true artist is not looking for somebody to blow smoke up his or her ass. So you come into Dokken and saying, yes, this is a good song. You're not blowing smoke up his ass, because you're not that guy. You're not uneducated on how to pick a song, especially with all of your songwriting credentials. Well, and also, Josh had a need, not really a need, but I think you saw a niche, like there was a hole and where we kind of said there's so many songs out there that they're written about the outdoors, but this is, well, this is a song for duck hunters, and that's really specific. And so it's one thing to go, hey man, I wrote this song. I think you're going to like it. It goes like this. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, cool. Yeah. I got a lot of those, but, when someone comes using this, look, I've got this idea because I feel like in my community, in my circle of friends, in my line of work, that we are missing this specific thing. I wrote these ideas down. Can you help me make this a complete thought?
Yes, it's almost kind of backwards to how it would be almost as if the record label came to you first and said, "This is the song we're going to do," instead of here's a song, sing it. But I kind of came in from the angle that if it would come out how I thought it would in my head, and it did, that it would resonate. And there's a couple other reasons why I thought it'd be successful. One, just the power of the brand. I knew I could get it out there and make it relevant. And we had all kinds of videos. I mean, it'll I'm sure Chad will use it on the Fowl Life TV show on the Outdoor Channel every Friday. In the East.
Look at that. Did you hear that, Adam? That's
loud and clear.
But anyway, I just knew I could put it where it mattered, and I think we haven't even seen the real multitude of what this song can do yet, because it's July. It was a good time to do it because duck hunters are angry and agitated and hot, and everyone's just kind of waiting for cooler weather a little bit sometimes. But as this gets into fall, I'm telling you that this song will be played. I mean, you drive to the blind every day,
right? There you go.
To some extent, and I hope it will be one of those songs where it can be anthem like, even until it gets old and nobody wants to hear it anymore. But it's
then we write another one.
Yeah, then we write another one. And I was thinking about that too. By the way, I was like, man, what's next? Do we write is it an album, a collection of duck songs? Because that was so this song, and I better back up a little bit before I get too far ahead of the horse here. But this song was mostly about the interaction of a duck caller or a goose caller with the waterfowl. And it was coming at it from the perspective of calling and tricking and fooling, and the art of that, because that's what I enjoy the most about waterfowl hunting. It's not, I mean, people say this all the time. It's not about the shooting. It's about this, whatever. But for me, it really, truly is. Like, there's a lot of flocks that when I'm hunting, like I won't, if there's a bunch of guys, I won't even pick my gun. I just like to, just watch. Cause a lot of times people don't, your gun's coming, you're excited, you're thinking about how you're going to get up, and you miss that magic moment when they're the closest and they're so vulnerable, and you're literally, bringing them where you want them and blocking them from going here and here so that they go there. And that to me is the fun. I mean, when a duck reacts to your call for the first time, it's like, you feel like Harry Potter got his little, wizard.
Yeah.
His wand.
That's when the addiction starts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It becomes an addiction then. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and that's exactly what did happen. Fortunately, when I got into that part of it, I was younger, like in my teens, and maybe 14, 15-ish, didn't even know if I was driving yet. So I had all the time in the world to blow the calls and practice. And I just kept blowing and blowing and blowing. And at that time, there wasn't as much internet. The internet was around, but there wasn't as much. There certainly wasn't Facebook and websites and all this stuff where there's these YouTube and resources of tons of info. So you kind of had to learn the hard. I don't want to say the hard way, but you had to go listen, observe, and then come back and figure it out. And I just really am passionate and have fallen in love with that aspect of waterfowl hunting, which is why I choose and turkey hunting too. By the way, it's you know, we're talking about the same thing there, where we're manipulating them with the call, but that to me was what was so important about this specific song, and also it kind of goes to show, and this is something that I always am prideful about, and I'm always encouraging our content folks and people who create content to do this. Is that this song, the level of I don't want to say expertise, but the deep level of understanding, maybe, is not something that could be easily done by a lot of callers in general, just because you have to articulate something, and that's not easy to do. Right. Then, I was like, well, then you put it into the form of a song. Now we're at even less people. And so I just felt like it was just something that it was going to be so hard to copy and replicate. Not that it can't be done. There's a lot of people who can do it, but it just isn't. You're not going to just pull up your phone like an Instagram post and post a picture, And even from, I'm kind of getting into the competitive landscape of other brands that we play with, and just kind of trying to stand out in the noise and have the attention. I thought, man, this is a way to engage with the consumer at a whole new level. I mean, one, just audio in general. Thinking about a customer loving a brand mark or a brand sound, even to where they hear a sound and they think about your brand. I mean, that's powerful. And
that's cool.
Just this, I don't know. It felt like it was something. The more and more I thought about it, it felt like, wow, this is something we should definitely pursue, whether or not it's this specific song or not. But I did feel like I knew the chorus was a good one, just because, and Adam, you and I talk about this all the time, but sometimes you look at the song on paper today and it's simple. I mean, it's relatively like, it's because some folks may be going, well, dude, you just said, hey, sail my way. Like,
there you go.
It's that, but honestly, that is the what I think, and I think you know more of this. That's sort of the art of the whole thing is taking complexities and simplifying them in a way that it resonates, but also in the case of this one, where it's not so simplified and literal that it doesn't leave anything for the imagination or can't be for everybody. Because we do say this is a song about duck hunting, but my goal going into it was that you could be calling at a duck, or as Chad said, you could be calling a girl or a boy or whatever. And so everybody could resonate with that. What I liked about it.
It kind of sounds, Adam, that's kind of music row of what Dokken just said. If you think about articulation and putting the lyric out front and having an understanding of life, like he's talking about an understanding of duck hunting and duck calling. And when somebody that gets it, hears it, they're going to go, that's me to a T. That's my life. You're working in this space daily for the last 25 years of your life. You've written a song about leaving Nashville, and people need to find this song about how you weren't giving up on your dreams, but your money was gone and you were down because it kicked your ass. There's not a lot of songs like that come out of Nashville. And where I'm going with that is that I think that songwriting is special. I think it's cherished. I think it's so difficult. I'm so envious of it, right? And when you listen to a what they call a catalog, you will figure out if somebody is a true songwriter. Because I think in today's world of country music, there's a lot of not so good songs being written that are being pushed up the charts, that are very elementary, that don't have to have a lot of thought put into them, and will be loved by an 18-year-old in the front row to go to the merch stand and buy a shirt and put it on their TikTok or whatever and say, look at me, I'm at this concert. And I'm not going to say any artists, but I think that what Dokken just explained is Music Row, 16th and 17th Avenue to a T.
Well, and the thing is, think about nursery rhymes. I mean, they're nursery rhymes. However, number one, I mean, they're how our children learn to count and spell and like do like really important things growing up. And the only way that you can make those things learning is to really simplify melodies and to use base level words and make it count. And that's the difference. The difference, making it easy and making it simple are two different things, And so, I'll be honest with you, like I can't write nursery rhymes. I'm not there yet. I'm not at that level to where I can write a song that my 3-year-old will learn how to spell her name. I mean, she already knows how to spell her name, but nonetheless, like she didn't do it because of a song I wrote.
And you're from Alabama? No,
yes, I know.
That's a total joke, Adam. It's a total joke.
She can't spell it right, but I mean, she spelled it, whatever. But I don't care. Don't matter.
No, I hear what you're saying. I completely understand. Yeah, so the trick is to simplify things, but still get that message through.
Well, and there's a lot of, no pun intended, there's a lot of jargon in this with this song that like for the average listener, like the cadence is like you said, it's a great example of the fact that like there's a specific term in the world of duck hunting and calling, but it's also just a word that sings great. And that's been the rub. And Josh and I talked about this a lot, a lot of words that we use to explain and describe, different aspects of the outdoor world. They're not very musical, like turkey is not a very musical word. Like it just turkey doesn't sing very well, and so that's the trick.
It's always an alliteration,
Yeah, exactly. So to find, hats off to you for finding the right words to use at the right time in the right place that are descriptive and specific and to the point, but at the same time, they're also musical and they're easy to sing. And like, I'm pretty honest about how songs feel coming out of my mouth. And if it doesn't feel right singing it, I can't do it. I mean, I wrote with Dylan Carmichael a couple of weeks ago and it was Devin Dawson, and I noticed he wasn't writing anything down. And I said, man, why aren't you writing anything down? He said, that's how I know if it's a good song or not. If I can remember it without writing it down, then I know it's good. And I thought, man, I've been doing this wrong the whole time. It's a great way to realize to do those things, realize if you've got it right. And if you said it plain English enough to where people will understand. Yeah. There's an art to that.
I think, on that note, two things. One, backing up to the simplicity thing, and Adam, I joked about this, and ironically, this has happened with my kids. They're 6 and 4, and so they're younger. But we love music here. We're always playing music. We have Alexa going all. The kids just love music, and they know songs now, and it's funny they request them and they don't say the words right, but it's hilarious. But I say where I'm about to go with this is that when a new song comes out, and it doesn't matter if I like it or not, just in any genre, and it plays over, and then my kids say, "Hey, play that one song about the on the ocean floor or whatever, that one song about the and I got to try to figure out what one they're talking about." And but what I've noticed is that there's some form of it has to pass the ones that go the furthest in terms of popularity. It has to pass the toddler test, whatever that is called scientifically. Like they know, and they feel the beat, and there's usually a heavy beat, and it's usually pretty simple. Mm-hmm. There's a very clear voice that's varying in tone, and it just and it's in simple and then minimal words, simple chorus,
right?
And I could almost tell if you played a song, and I could almost tell you if it was going to be a hit based on a child's reaction. It's crazy, but I really think that
because they don't listen to it the same way we do. Right. They listen to it. there's a purity in how they listen to things. I mean, I'm screwed, you know. I mean, I can't objectively listen to a song ever again in my whole life. I remember a time when I didn't know the difference in a bass and a B3 and the guitar, and like now I can tell, like, is that a Strat or a Tele, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of little things, and I can hear layers, and it's nice to have that ear, but it's also it's a little bittersweet, because like I can't stop and enjoy a song like I used to. I can't do it the way a child does. You know?
Do you think that times have changed though, Josh and Adam? Because I don't think that kids would pick out a Merle Haggard song to be a hit, and I don't think they'd pick a George Jones or a Waylon, or not even a lot of Conways, which Conway held the record for #1 hits in music and country music until George Strait beat it. Ronnie Millsap's up there with 39. They're not going to hear a Ronnie Millsap song, I don't think. Is it the changing of the times to where music is so accessible, like with what Josh said with Alexa, play this, or Google, play this, to where now kids, I know that I grew up listening to my dad's music, but I was listening to Poncho and Willie and songs that were not about this simplified stuff that you hear a lot on the radio today. So I understand what you're saying is that there is a toddler test and that their reaction is going to say a lot. But do you think that's because music has changed so much?
Well, here's before Adam gets into the real answer, the expert answer. Here's something I would say to that. I think there was just maybe. Because somebody else controlled, there wasn't streaming, somebody else controlled what was being played to you.
Yeah.
It was just, there were fewer and far between. I'll use this for example, and it was playing this morning. That's why I jumped in. Ray Charles, Hit the Road Jack. Kids love that.
There you go. Yep. There you go.
And that's an example. Another one that comes to mind because just from my kids, but Cody Jinks covers Got a Good Woman at Home. She got a good woman.
Whiskey Band Hellbound.
Yeah, he covers that song, and that was Junior, right? I mean, that was
it's Junior.
So I don't know what era that was, but that's older, and they like that song. But it's got a heavy drum line in it, whatever you call that, Adam. And then there's kind of a I don't know. There's a melody there that resonates, but
and that's the thing. That's what it is, you know. Because if you think about it, I agree with what you're saying. There's, you know, it's hard to say, you know, as artists and in the entirety of a catalog, like how many songs did Waylon do, or how many songs did Haggard do that the kids would love. But the other side of that is, and the cool side of that is, there are some, you know. I mean, man, Lukenbach, Texas.
Rainbow Stew, Lukenbach, Texas.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, songs like that, you know, and like, you know, think of all the Roger Miller songs that, I mean, you know, and that guy was so prolific, and he had all these different facets of his writing. He had a dark side, and he had like a kind of a drunkard side. And it's not even being a drunk. It was like a persona, you know what I mean? Like he sort of just embodied these different people and made songs just because he was silly about stuff. It made it appealing to kids, you know, and so that's the thing. I mean,
did he use Captain Kangaroo in a song?
I don't know.
King
that
of the
was
Road?
the Statler Brothers. King of the Road. Yeah, the Statler Brothers did.
Do you know Captain
Trailers
Kangaroo?
for Sailor Rent?
That's King of the Road. I thought that was Roger Miller.
Yeah, King of the Road is. To lend 50 cents, no phone, no.
I ain't got no cigarettes.
It's hear that drum, that bass line.
I know. Yeah, you're right, Hood. Your song that I'm thinking of is the one that
smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Don't tell me. Yeah,
Eric Paisley or something. I think Paisley redid that at one time.
I think so. Yeah,
that's a great song.
Here's a guy I just thought of that. It'll be an aha moment. Not quite as old as those, but. Probably again, somewhat related to why it was all, you know, he's probably the most successful of all time. But what about George Strait? You know, his song, All My Exes Live in Texas. I remember singing that song as a kid. There's a million of them, but he kind of has more of those than maybe other people, but anyway.
Well, and that's that.
George was very, very simple. And George knew how to pick a song because not until later in his career did he really get into the writing part. Dean Dillon wrote most of his hits, right, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing him at it was on a YouTube clip. Well, in fact, it was a Dean Dillon tribute. We did it at Music Fest a couple of years ago, and they were showing like videos of, and they quoted George. It was some sort of award show, and he said, I've only recorded one album that I didn't record a Dean Dillon song on. And he said, I've always regretted it, and so, but he also, I mean, you think about it, and it's kind of something that I've sort of set my sights on for a couple of years now is guys like George had guys like Dean Dillon. There was somebody and you can do this with most artists. There's most great artists. You can find someone, there's a well that they went, either it was in them or it was something like, Jerry Lee went to Mac Vickery a lot, and George goes to Dean Dillon and there's certain guys that are great singers that go to certain great writers and say, this guy sings in my way, Karen Fairchild with Little Big Town, I mean, she recorded so many Natalie Hemby songs. Same thing with Miranda, because like the songs that Natalie writes are right there in their register and right there in their meter. And just, Natalie she writes songs that are great for Little Big Town and great for Miranda. And so I want to try to be one of those guys, you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of, well, I say in the past couple of years, it's kind of how I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to be the guy. If you want X, Y, and Z, call Adam. If you want A, B, and C, Adam's not your guy. But if you want this style, if you want this specific thing, Adam's the guy. And that's kind of have been one of my, I guess, long-term goals.
Well, what is that guy?
I think it's kind of that blue-eyed soul. I think it's that Delbert McClinton kind of stuff. I mean, Anderson East was a guy that I was really proud to write songs with. And I mean, dude, Travis Tritt, I mean, there you go. I mean, I told Travis, I said, man, I've been made to write songs for you since I was 17 years old. I mean, because he was the guy I listened to. He's the reason why I ever heard Bob Seger. I heard Bob Seger, but I never, I went to see Travis a number of times in Georgia and Birmingham and stuff like that when I was in high school and a little ways after. And I mean, he did Copperhead Road, and I went out and bought Steve Earle albums. He did Night Moves. I went out and bought Bob Seger albums, and so he was kind of a gateway, but he was also, in that era, I was really into Clint Black. And of course, like everybody else, into Garth Brooks, but like, those guys wore cowboy hats, I mean, I'm not my dad was in rodeo for a couple of years. And so he sort of kind of gave me a little bit of a complex about, he's like, you all not wear a cowboy hat if you ain't gonna be a cowboy. And so I said, all right, point taken, I put it down. And so, and because I did that, I had Travis, and because I liked Clapton and because I liked the blues side of things.
You didn't mention the Eagles, Adam. It's because you're It's because you're not an Eagles fan, right?
I mean, I hate the Eagles, man.
Hey, Chad, you were asking what his bread and butter was, and I was like, well, XYZ ABC. What it is good, soulful Southern music. That's what
there you go. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It really is that. And I've got the songs that I know that you have wrote just because recently I've obviously been paying more attention to that, like the Travis Tritt songs that are amazing. I hear it. I can hear your voice within them some to some extent. It was just really, really weird when it was Travis Tritt's voice singing it, because that voice is so in everybody's head, but in my head, he could say one word and I could say that's Travis Tritt. Like
right.
In that latest album that you had the title track on Set in Stone. I had done some research. I guess and I'll butcher this, but there was a lengthy period of time where he hadn't released any new music.
13 years. Yeah.
Because he could do a show with nothing but hits. You know what I mean? And then he does this album, and it sounds like it's 1993, and Travis Tritt's, telling someone to get a quarter.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like the exact same. And it was awesome because I was playing a few people who didn't know it was new, and they wouldn't have known that like it had just came out yesterday.
Right. Well, and that was the cool thing about that, like that, I mean, in all my years of doing this and wanting to do it, like that was the first time that I can say in real time, I've been like, wow, we're doing this, because he and I wrote a song together. Number one, just the two of us. He and I wrote this song on the record called Better Off Dead, and it starts out. And I mean, it's like I remember just thinking to myself while we were writing, I was like, man, this is happening right now. Like, this is like I'm with Travis Tritt writing a Travis Tritt song. And I mean, it was a really crazy, surreal moment.
Do you think that Tritt is more, and maybe you put Marty Stewart in there as well, who is another ungodly talent, but do you give him more of a Dwight Yoakam feel to where it's country, but it's also got a little bit of that Elvis edgy rock?
Totally.
Because it's not Merle Haggard, right? It's not, but he's a huge Waylon fan, and Travis does Waylon like crazy. They were very good buddies. He's really good buddies with CDB and Charlie. So it's hard to categorize that. Put him in a category, isn't it? Did you hear how I changed that? Because I can't pronounce the word categorize.
You just did. You just said it.
I almost had it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I think where Dwight was the Bakersfield side of that era of country music. I think that Travis was the Southern rock side of that era of country music. And within that, see, that's the beauty of Southern music, man. Within that, and that's also why it seems narrow to say I want to be able to embody Southern, soulful music. But there's a lot of parameters. I mean, you're talking about everything from Muddy Waters to Hank Williams and everywhere in between, Lynyrd Skynyrd and all that stuff. And so in Travis's, like in that era, like he was Hank Jr. and Waylon, and those guys were still around, and they were but he was the guy. Like it was almost like how, Stevie Ray was one of those people that you could listen to, in one song of Stevie's, you could hear 10 guitar players' techniques. I could hear Buddy Guys. I could hear Albert King. So you hear a lot of Albert Kings. You could hear Freddie King. And so he was sort of not just a gateway, but somebody that really kind of embodied all this style in one person. And that was Travis to me. He was a Southern rock version. And like I said, Dwight was probably the West Coast version, the Burrito Brothers and Merle and Buck Owens and all that stuff,
So you have songs that have different feels to them too. I mean, if you listen to She Don't Love Me Anymore up against Tennessee Will, and then you take this new song that Dokken and you composed called This Opening Line, how does it happen? Tell me about the process that you were in the beginning stages of, Dokken putting pencil to paper and coming up with the melody or the chorus or whatever, right? Or the chord changes or however he's going with his guitar and sitting around. We'll get to Dokken of maybe some of how that came about, but how do you get the tempo for this? How did it come about to where you wanted it to be this pace, this speed, this percussion, you know what I'm saying? Kind of the cadence of the song. How does an artist come up with that part of it?
Well, the cool to hear that answer too, because there's some of this, and I'm not trying to prevent you from. I'm preventing you from answering it right now, Adam, because you're going to go somewhere deeper, and I want to go there too.
Do you want to go first?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to talk about how we got to me and you, and then I think that part would be more relevant because I am curious. After, we kind of had our meeting and had gone through it and nailed it. There was some things that happened in the back end that to me are like, Wizard of Oz, hoodoo stuff. I have no idea what happened, how it happened, and how it came out.
Yeah.
Because after it goes there, at some point I get disconnected because now I'm not a musician, and now the musicians are at work.
Right.
So I would like to talk a lot about like what's going on there. I'm interested in some of that stuff. But if you want to go there, I'll talk about how I got to where I'm at. Yeah. That way we can get to where you're at.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So if you had watched this By the way, I feel like that I didn't mean to be rude when I did that. I think the order of conversation.
No, I might have probably
So
put it in a
rude right
different
now.
order.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, man, I was like, there probably is no way for that to have sounded good when I just cut him off and then said, no.
No, I know what you're saying though. I know what you're saying. It kind of needs a little setup. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot around it, and I don't want to get too far down before we, folks, because the folks don't know yet. And so I want to kind of tell them why I'm here talking to Adam Hood, you know what I mean? And I've told this story a few times, and it's been in some of the videos and stuff we have released around the song, this opening line. But my going back in time to March in 2020 when the COVID stuff hit pretty hard and things were shutting down. I've got two young kids like you mentioned, and I work a lot anyway, just because I'm competitive and I love what I do. I'm one of those fortunate people that have wealth in that I wake up every morning and I cannot wait to walk 10 feet to my office to go make an ad that's going to, reach people and feel like it can solve a need for them. And so I love that. Anyway, I say all that to say I needed something else to do besides working too, and it was real easy to do during the COVID deal. Just work all the time. So hobby time came up and I'm like, well, I don't know. I thought about getting like a bike or, something like that. And then, reading books is always fun for about 10 pages.
Yeah, you got to sit down and be still and stuff, and that's hard.
Yeah, and I was already pretty good at putting Legos together, mostly at stepping on them, but I had kind of already mastered that hobby. Right. So I was like, I need something to do. And I in the back of my mind, I had always wanted to play the guitar, but I had put it so far, like, that's got to be a major investment. There's no way I'd ever have time to do that. I'm not even going to get a guitar because I'd never see it through. And that sort of barrier that I'm sure a lot of folks have, I'm sure it's relevant to a lot of folks who would love to play the guitar, is it basically said, nah, you got nothing else to do it. And so I don't know what the trigger point was. Actually, I do know what the trigger point was. I remember this. So musicians, y'all were not touring. So y'all were all over the socials with lives and stuff like that.
Right.
Acoustic too. So I never put this together earlier when we talked about this, but I thought about this more. I think it was the repetition of seeing a musician with a guitar and watching him. And it was like I was around it all the time. And
watching hands. That's the best way to learn. Watching hands.
And by the way, I'll tell you one thing, and I think you do this on purpose, but you keep the whole the everything off screen, and it drives me because I just want to know. Like, what are you doing down there?
I know. It's maddening to me too. And there's no angle that I can get it at that shows everything. And I mean, people have been pretty. They're pissed.
Well, the sequestered songwriting stuff you did, which I watch every episode of it. I'm a huge fan of yours.
And Adam. You can't see any of it. I know. It's really.
There's a lot of songs where I would love to be like.
I know.
I want to know what he played there because I think I could do it if I could just see what he did.
Because it's not that hard, and I won't show anybody. And what a dick.
I thought you were doing it because you had a secret and
no secrets. It's just
someone the key. But no, anyway, I was watching people, and so Cody Jinks did Clint Black. You said "Killing Time," and he played it, and I was like, man, I just love that song anyway. But it was funny because we were killing time, and I heard the music for whatever reason. It sounded simple to me, and I hadn't got a guitar yet, but I was like, I can't sing, but I bet you I could do that.
There's 4 chords in that song. 4 chords. Yeah.
So, I said right like I knew. There's if I played the song, there's 3 or 4 chords.
That's all there is.
I need 3 though, not 2, because 2 there's not enough. I can't do enough variations in the pull-ons and hammer-offs to make it dynamic.
The fourth one in that song is a pickup anyway. You can sing that song with 3 chords. It's possible.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I digress. Go ahead.
This has got to feel like a little bit like a elementary guitar lesson.
No, it's cool,
You're about to write a nursery rhyme if you're not careful. So I went online, got a guitar, and that's why I'm holding this, not to play it, because this is the guitar that I bought. It's this is mahogany, came off a 7,800-year-old tree that was frozen actually in the Ice Age and preserved. And
it's laminate wood. That's
yeah. What? It's a Yamaha. I got it off Amazon. It was $100, and it was very hard to find these guitars because I was not alone in my ambition and search. And there was a bunch, because there's some where I'm at here in Fayetteville, Arkansas area. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of independent music stores and even like the Guitar Centers of the world. But when COVID hit, one, they don't a lot of the smaller ones don't stock tons of inventory. So it wasn't like I could go in and like, let me look at all these. Plus they didn't really want you in there anyway at the time. So I got this, and I'll never forget when I pulled it out. For people who don't know, when the guitar is new, it has like some sort of brown paper bag between the fretboard and the strings, I guess, to keep it from rubbing. And I remember I pulled that thing off, and I looked at it, and I went like this, and it was that's not very in tune, but it was 600 times worse than that. And I go, oh, this is going to be brutal. Because my first strum in the guitar basically comes untuned, and I'm like, right. Oh boy, what have I got myself into? And now knowing that you can auto tune and stuff like that, it's not that big of a deal. But coming into it, I was like, who's going to tune this guitar for me so I can even start to learn to play it? So anyway, sorry, I'm rambling because I'm excited. Can you tell? I started learning to play, teaching myself on the YouTube, and playing those 3 and 4 chord 2-chord songs, which is like all the good old country stuff and the stuff that I knew and liked anyway. So it was like perfect, and I wasn't learning all this music theory and all these pentatonic scales and all this stuff. I was just simply going like straight up Travis Tritt. Like that wasn't good, but it was, you say you were wrong, and it's like that song right there. It's just like then, like simple. And I was like, well, that's not that hard. And then it does get harder, because then you're like, okay, now I got to go to that next chord, and you're like doing that thing. But I started to basically just play those songs over and over and over again, those simple songs. And then I was like, all right, I need another song to play, not another music theory to know. And so this is relevant, because this is how the song thing came on. So there's a website out there, it's a tab and chord site that has all the songs on it. You search it, there's tons of them. Which, by the way, you should put your songs on there, because cover people play them. Yeah.
Somebody used to do it. I probably should do it myself now. I'll follow up.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's all user generated content. So there's some.
Yeah, and it may not be correct. Yeah.
But anyway, so I started, and it was funny. Earlier you mentioned you can't ever listen to a song objectively again. Of course, you're doing this at a whole higher level than me. But that's what was happening to me as I was going through this process, because one, I was sort of consumed with learning to play, but that I was just looking at things differently and listening to things differently. And that's when at some point it kind of hit like, man, when I down the road, like when I have evolved a little bit, I can take one of these 3-chord songs for sure and write some words to go with it. Cause that's what I would have, from writing marketing copy, literally every day to, all the social posts and things like that for Bandit that I have my voice into. It they're almost like mini songs anyway. Like, the captions, cause some of they gotta be simple. They gotta be effective. And I felt like I had all the words, and I was like, I just need to figure out what they are. Like they'll come to me. And I had a couple other ones that just weren't, they didn't resonate. And I had to write them down because I wouldn't have remembered them. And one day I was bringing my daughter to kindergarten. It was a Tuesday. I know this because we have a leadership call that morning at 9 a.m. with all of the leadership team. And I told them about the song on that call. That's why I know. And that's when they laughed at me. So bringing my daughter to school. It's real windy. We passed a neighborhood market, and there's like a banner type thing that was out there, probably to get a COVID vaccine. And it had come untied, and it was like flapping, and it was going to sail away. And I still to this day don't know if it was me or my daughter who said it or whatever, but I got the word sail in my head, and I instantly knew that, not that it would be a song or be a hit, but that's what I wanted. Like that, there was no other word that mattered to me. That's the word I wanted to take home and start writing. So I did. I dropped her off at 7 a.m. ish, 7:30. Get back to the house. Between 7:30 and 9, I had wrote pretty much a rough verse 1 and an initial chorus. The initial chorus wasn't hey, hey, hey. It was I had hey girl, hey, because I wanted to really get away from the duck side of it. But then I was like, well, in duck hunting, we're calling out the drake, and I didn't want it to be. So I had to massage that part. But anyway, like that was it, and I had to fill it out and fine tune it some before I got to you with that. But that was like 80% of what I had when I came to you happened in that time period right there. And then I kind of just left it unfinished. And I was like, man, I would just kind of, talk to my buddies about it. And I brought up in that leadership call, and I said, and I didn't sing it. I said, hey, what do you think about this? I said, but you gotta imagine someone singing it. And there was not a single person, didn't even make a sound. Like they didn't know if I was messing with them, because I'll do that a lot, or if they knew they weren't going to say it was good. And
wait,
Chad,
you're serious? That's funny.
Chad, Alan, our CEO, he has a hearing aid from all the shooting that he does. So he sits there and nobody says anything. And when nobody says anything, then he thinks he's not hearing anything. And so he goes, what did he say? What was that? And everybody just started. I thought, you guys are idiots. I'm right. You're wrong. This song's good. No, I'm kidding, but it was funny. And I was fueled by that. So then at some point, it was a little while later, because that was during duck season or at the end of it. I had finally been like, all right, I want to go find somebody to sing this song. Plus, I had started to see a vision of how it could be coming from the brand, how it could be tied into a new casual line that we're launching this fall, where it's bigger, much more broader. And I was like, I really think shot in the dark, but if I can find a guy who will listen to me and kind of grasp what I'm saying and understand, and also sort of like it enough to where he wants to make it good, then it would work. Well, I got to thinking that's probably everybody who's ever written a poem ever is thought that. So I was like, well, how hard is this going to be? So I call a few, I can't remember who, first person I ran it by was Cody Jenks, actually. This was when it wasn't finished. This was when it was rough. It was really rough, and it was in the blind, and it wasn't the good version. And he goes, and he did some of this just because there was a crowd there. He goes, man, that's going to go way over their head. You thought way too much about that. It's going to go way over their head. It was his way of saying, don't waste your time, but which also got me more fired up to do it again. So sure. Let me get to you so that you can talk, because that's what's important. I call Chad, because Chad has the music connections. You know, he's always got people on his podcast. And I said, hey, I have a couple guys in mind, but I said, and it's funny how I knew this too. I said, this is not a big record. This is not like a Jamie Johnson big voice song. I said, it needs someone with a little finesse. And I said, and the guy I think might be kind of good at it is Brent Cobb, because Chad was posting about him all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he had there's some little quirky stuff in there that I thought would be neat. And he said, yeah, you know, let me call her, whatever. And I get connected, you know, to Ben Ratliff, and he's like, okay, tell me what you want to do. And I told him, he said, there's a guy for you. It's not Brent. He said, it's Adam Hood. He said, I promise you, you guys will hit it off. And I'll remember this today. He goes, you'll end up being best friends like Adam is with everybody who meets him. So I was already looking forward to, like, hey, okay, he's one of those guys that everybody likes. That's awesome.
That's really.
You could have a huge ego. You could have easily been like, oh man, what? Because you don't know what you're getting into, man.
Right.
It could be bad. So.
But you never do. You never do. There's never been a time where I've come out of something having done what I expected to going into it, and the little things and writing and I mean, dude, I can't tell you. I mean, it's kind of every time when I'm playing like at shows, even if I've played the stage a million times, I have this idea in my head. Okay, this is how the night's going to go. It goes completely different. And so the only way to do it is just to kind of you know, I mean, for lack of a better term, just stay open-minded about it and just say yes to the things that most people would say no to. And but, you know, to continue what you're saying, you know, the thought that you put into this whole song it's the process, man. I mean, you know, like, hey, to change, you know, you got a hook line. I don't want it to say that. I think it should say this more. I mean, I think about the same things, you know. I think, okay, all right, what are we saying here? Okay, we're saying this, we're saying that. And so when you come to me and you go, okay, I've got this idea for this song. I think I want it to say X, Y, and Z. I want it to appeal to so-and-so. I want it to do this. Here's what I wrote down so far. And you got like, it wasn't just like a couple of lines in a chorus. It was like verse, chorus. And I feel like you've written everything. I think the bridge wasn't there. And then, maybe you did have a bridge. I can't remember.
I didn't have a bridge because I had envisioned that there was a third verse that, another verse that was going to come.
Okay, that's correct. That's right.
And I had come up with that the song was unfinished.
So at the same time, I took your third verse, made it a bridge, and tightened up a couple of rhymes, and that's. I mean, really, I mean, what that took. If it took a half hour, I'm pretty sure I called you back within the hour.
Here's exactly how that conversation went. I'll never forget. It was just like this, by the way, with just on laptops talking, and I explained the base, like the what the meanings of the words were. And I said, I've got some verses. I think there's another verse needed. I don't know. But I can come up, the verses were so easy for me, which was weird. It was coming up with that once I had Sail, like I could go in and mix up the verses. And then like this opening line being the opening line, like that's the kind of stuff I like when it's a little bit deeper, or like the perfect pitch. Now we're also talking about, the musical component plus the pitch. Hey, I'm pitching you on a deal I'd like you to do. Come in here to these decoys. I just like that kind of stuff more. Right. But anyway, so I had told you all those things, and I'll never forget you basically go, okay, yeah, and then you just kind of started woodshedding it, and then we talked about a melody, and I said, why? And when I did it first, I had this one melody in my head, and you said, okay, it don't matter if it's good or not, just play it for me. And I did. He said, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you're like, what? And then you started adding some other stuff into it. And you go, okay, I got this. Give me 10 minutes and I'll send you a rough copy. And I was like, all right, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And I'm not kidding you, Chad. Are you still there, Chad?
Oh yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. I'm not kidding you. Within 10 minutes later, there was a version of the song that is not the completed version, but if you heard that version of that song today, you would think it could be I was like, this is awesome. My concern was maybe it's not enough tie into duck hunting to where it's too broad. Because it was so good. I was like, I wasn't expecting it to feel like a song that I could listen to with my wife who doesn't hunt.
Right.
Instead of just with me and my buddies who do hunt. And it was completely changed. And I was like, man, this is amazing. But I also think this is one more thing about Adam and probably all songwriters. I have no idea how the process typically goes with writers. I wouldn't know that. But it was a experience that I wish everybody who had an interest in it could see it, because I got to watch. I didn't know what he was doing, but I got to watch a true master. I mean, sincerely, master go, okay, you just turn this knob and this knob and this knob, and then you're going to have this. And it was so fast and it was happening in real time. It was amazing to watch. Adam, you probably don't even realize you do it anymore because it's every day, but that was super cool. I think a documentary inside of songwriting, of course, you don't want to give away all your secrets, but there's got to be some version of how does it get done? How do the bad ones either die or get worked out?
Folks eat that stuff up, man. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves behind the music. Everybody loves behind the scenes because it makes something so magical and something so spiritual practical. Basically, you know what I mean? And like you said, I mean, Jay Took is a master. I mean, that guy's, you walk into the studio, it's like, man, he's a drummer. And so, but he, has all the equipment there. Everything's perfect. Everything's down. And I just walk in there, the microphone's right there. I sing my song. We're done.
That's literally how it went.
Yeah.
I was amazed at that studio. I think he did this right before you got there. You know this, but Jay, he's clearly good at what he does, and he's got all the equipment.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they are. But he sat me down. He said, I was asking. I was like a kid in the candy store. I was like, Jay, man, if I get annoying, just tell me to go sit outside. And he was loving it because he was telling me about what was going on in there. And there's all these, soundboards on the walls and stuff. And I started looking around. I'm like, well, those aren't just randomly placed. They're and he sat me down in his chair and he said, it's all measurement. It's all degrees and angles and measurements. He said, if you sit right here in this chair, and I was like this way. He's like, no, move over to the right about an inch. I'm like, all right. He's like, okay, right there is the purest and cleanest you'll ever hear music. And it was like it was. He played like an old Tom Petty vinyl song, and like I just like heard things. He said, "Okay, now go back on the couch," and it was a night and day difference.
Yeah, it's by design. Yeah,
that's when I knew. Okay, this is another one of those deals where I'm dealing with a master. And once it got there, I don't know what happened to the song.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, it's that a lot of the studio stuff's over my head too. I mean, I know my job, but I mean, being on that side of a control board, it's not.
So did it come easy to you, Adam, though, to lay this song down and sing it?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like I said, number one, it was already there. And so like I've written a lot of songs and I've forgotten most of them, but then kind of the same thing, the ones that I, the tale, the litmus test is the fact that like, do you wake up the next day and remember it? And if I can remember any of it, it's a better tune. And I mean, I could get the majority of the way through this one, I mean, chord wise.
I think that we need to tell people where to get it, where they're going to find it. And I want to hear it.
Okay. But
is it going to be released on an Adam Hood album potentially?
I'm sure we'll do something. I'm sure we'll have some sort of a physical form of it. The good thing is with this, like the timing's been really great because we're in between records and, kind of in a holding pattern on the record that we have right now, just for the sake of, for obvious reasons. And so this is, my wife and I talked about this a bunch. Like we should just do singles it's how a lot of people are doing it now. I mean, a lot of, you see it now. I mean, same thing with Jinx. Like people just instead of releasing 10, 12, 15 song albums, they're putting out 3 songs at a time. They're putting out 1 song a month and they'll
digestible.
Yeah, exactly. And and it's just, it puts content out there a lot more frequently, a lot more quickly, but you're still getting the same amount. You just don't have to wait 3 years to do it. You get one, like I said, once every month.
You're just getting it in the form of a TikTok instead of a YouTube video.
Yeah. And I think this was one of those things to where it was good for me, just kind of from an evolutionary point of view, because it's something different. Like it's a different approach. And I mean, I'm one of those people that writes about and writes for myself. I mean, I write the things I feel, and I write it because I need the therapy. And so I hope that in the process of getting my thoughts and my feelings out, that I hope that other people relate to it. This was a completely different way of doing it. Like this song was written with the intention of going to other people first. You know what I mean? Like this is a song that specifically reaches out to the hunting public, and then and I can get different. It is my, you know what I mean? Like I can feel that way, but I feel that way because I'm part of a community. But it's directed more towards them than it is towards me, and that in itself is cool too. I don't know that I've ever approached a song like that, and so that's why it's cool that it stands alone. That's why also, like you said, having things coming with Bandit and stuff, like it's a nice. A nice,
I think it's cool. I think it's cool because a lot of stand-up comedians want to be rock stars. A lot of professional baseball players want to be in the PGA golfing. A lot of singers love to hunt. They want to be a hunter. They want, they love the idea of going out and hunting and living that part through Mother Nature. And I think now you'll find Adam Hood everywhere. He's going to become a face of Bandit. He's all over the promos for not just this opening line song, but also for Bandit Casual and the launch of that. And there's just a lot of cool chemistry and a lot of cool touch points that are happening between you and one of the leading hunting brands in the country. And it's all because of networking and vision and good songwriting by Dokken and relationships and friendships. And, the music gets out there to the people. It's going to make people feel a certain way. It might not make everybody feel the exact same way, but everybody's going to be able to take something out of the song as it puts them in that place of serenity, in the duck woods, in the boat, in the UTV, petting their dog, pouring that hot coffee. I could go on and on. The popping of a fire and the smell of a fire while you're picking your guitar, singing this coming fall is probably going to be pretty freaking badass. So if you don't mind, what's that? Did you say something?
I said, so awesome. Let me say one real quick thing before Adam plays it. What brought it all together at the core is a passion for music and a passion for duck. Music and duck is why that song exists. The people, the components, the players, they could be switching out. It's music and duck. And the other thing I will say about Adam, and you'll see a lot more of him from the Bandit side, is he sang that song in a way that he wasn't trying to. It's not him specifically about him. It's a song for duck hunters. Right. And when he sings it, you can hear it. He's not trying to make that song his. He's singing that song for y'all. He's singing that song for you, and it comes across that way. And he's just Adam Hood with his guitar, a hat, and his microphone, and he just wants to sing you some songs while you have a drink and are entertained, and it's easy to listen to. Adam does one of the best things I love about Adam, and I don't know what musically how you describe this, is in his voice. He does some of these little wavers at the end, like I'm not gonna try to do it, but
he's the Axl Rose of Southern country, Southern blues.
Yeah.
And I say that because I wanted to sort of let people know that I won't give any too much info, but I have heard it. Adam Hood has music in the bank that he's coming out with. He's going to release later on when he kind of finishes it up. But I've heard a few of those songs that are potentially, what do you call that, an album or not? And Chad and I talked about this. I swear, Adam, I'm not just saying this. It is the best album as a whole, the collection, because every song has a piece to it that I've ever heard. And I swear, and on top of that, I had a barbecue over here. No, Ben said, "Hey, you can't send this out," so I haven't. But I will play it. I will just put it on and play it on the speaker.
Awesome. Great.
And I swear to you, I had all my neighbors who like country music. They said, "Who is that?" I said, and they said, "Oh, he's good." I swear.
That's the story of every backyard in America, isn't it, Hood?
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I can't wait for y'all to hear that and whatever else you got. But anyway,
I think you guys did great. I like the song, and I'm very, very, very critical of music. I'm often on a soapbox, I guess. But
you just like it? You only like it?
No, I love it. I've been listening to. I posted a. Here's how dumb I am. If you go on to the Fowl Life Instagram, and I'm cooking a brisket. I don't know if you can hear this or not. Listen.
There it is. Yeah, girl.
So we're putting a little brisket in the cooler to cool it off before we slice it. And we're jamming
look
on
how
the
appropriate that is, dude. It's just perfect. That's perfect.
So yeah, I love it. I love it, and I think that people are going to love it. And I think that it's a great story of how inspiration can bring about something that it's going to bring a lot of joy to people. And I've told you what Dokken just said. I don't know how many times about that Deemer box played and everybody being like, why is this guy not a freaking star? I could talk till I'm blue in the face about you and Brent Cobb, but anyway,
and sorry, Adam, and one more thing, or Chad, my kids, because they hear it in the truck, they're the only ones, can sing every single word to at least, the first 3 tracks.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, the new album is unbelievable. And if this one doesn't get the huge record deal, and this one doesn't fill the stadiums, then Nashville and Music Row and the executives that hold the power to hit these buttons, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And I mean that, because this is freaking what America and the world needs to be listening to and hearing. And it's up to you all to get it out there, because there is an equation. There is something going on. There is some politics being played. And it's time to get some real music out there. Thank you very much. I'm Chad Belling, and I'm off my soapbox. Adam Hood, will you please bring the people this magic, this song? We're going to end the podcast. The Fowl Life podcast brought to you today by Gerber Gear. Stay sharp, America, and stay safe with those blades. And by Banded Brands, the leader in innovation in everything duck hunting. Includes Avery Sporting Dog. Banded Casual, Greenhead Gear, decoys, you name it, Banded Brands is the leader in everything. Look for our new ads in Wildfowl Magazine. Look at all of the new selection and all of the retailers, independent mom and pops, and some of the big box stores across the country starting now. Good luck to everybody during the 2021-22 waterfowl season. It's going to be awesome. The Canadian borders are opening if you're getting the vaccination, which I'm choosing not to do so. So again, I have tears in my eyes that I cannot go north to see my family in Saskatchewan, Ontario, Manitoba, and Alberta. But what I want everybody to do is listen to this song and envision yourself, picture yourself, because Ted Williams said it in The Art of Hitting, Chapter 4, The Science of Hitting, I should call, is the name of the book. Visualization is the key to success. Visualize yourself working that flock and finishing it, persuading them, negotiating across that table of flooded timber or water or marsh, watching those mallards drop their feet, or those green-winged teal or pintail or widgeon, or any of the diver species, canvasbacks, redheads, scaup, you name it, whatever you choose to chase, not to mention snows and specks in Canada, all varieties. Picture yourself. And when that flock is finished, everybody's just going to go down, look at each other and go, hey, hey, hey. I'm picturing it right now. I can hear it. It's a great song. It's very well done by Josh Dokken. Adam Hood is a magician. You are a master. I'm proud to call you both friends. Adam Hood, if you will, please end this podcast with this opening line.
This opening line's my chance to play my song without words. 3-note cadence, the perfect pitch, the hope of being heard. There's more than a dozen reasons why I can see you from the clear blue sky. I follow as you fly on by my watchful light. But hey, 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 won't you sail my way? You can't let your guard down, everything's okay. I'm calling out to greet you, but often you ignore. So I try again to say something you never heard before. I stay hidden in the shadows and I wait for your next move. As the sun lights up your colors and your hair waves, as the wind blows through. Oh, hey, 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 won't you sail my way? Well, you can't let your guard down, everything's okay. Hey, 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 won't you sail my way? You can't let your guard down, everything's okay. Oh, lucky me, the third time's a charm. As long as I'm careful not to sound alarm. Well, hey, 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 won't you sail my way? Come on, let your guard down, everything's okay. Hey, 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 won't you sail my way? Come on, let your guard down, everything's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's okay.